طيب السلام عليكم جميعا. أتمنى أقول أن يكون الكل بخير إن شاء الله. If you guys can hear me well, can you just please type so we can start إن شاء الله. Alright, good. بداية زي ما قلنا الحب الكل إن شاء الله يكون بخير. إحنا في أوقات عصيبة, so I hope that everyone is at home. I hope everyone is safe. أنتم وأحبابكم والجميع إن شاء الله بكل خير. موضوعنا اليوم is porcelain laminate veneers, starting from case selection, mock-up, preparation, pro-visualization, and wrapping up with cementation. Now, before we start, let's define veneers in a very simple way. Simply, veneers are very thin ceramic restoration that does magic. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. So today I'll walk you through 4 different cases that approach our prosthodontic clinics seeking a smile makeover. Now, our first case here arrived to the clinic complaining that she has malaligned teeth. She doesn't like the shade of her teeth. She doesn't like the shape of her teeth. Plus, she has spaces between, especially the laterals and central incisors. And we can get a good look once we look at the lateral profile of the patient. Yeah, between the lateral and the canines. So again, she came complaining from the shape, shade, alignment of the teeth. And this is a close-up of the patient from a frontal view. Now the second patient came also to the clinic seeking a smile makeover. The patient had a flat incisal edges of all anterior teeth, malaligned as well, and a defected ceramo method restoration related to her tooth number 25. Now this is a side view of the patient, and this is a frontal view of the patient. We can notice somehow that tooth number 11 is slightly protruded and tooth number 21 is slightly protruded, comparing each other. Now we gotta keep this in mind because it's gonna be very useful info once we move the case to the technician in order to fabricate the wax up, which is gonna be the temporary restoration for the patient. Moving to the fourth case, also the patient had tooth surface loss, heavily restored tooth number 1, 2, and spaces as well between the canine and lateral incisors. This is a frontal view of the patient. Fourth case, patient arrived with existing restorations, including crowns and veneers, off-shade tooth number 1, 1, open margin related to tooth number 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3 as well, and a defected FDP related to quadrant 1. Now, as any case arrives to your clinic, you should sit with the patient, listen to them, and check for their preferences. What are they exactly looking for? So once you get that done, you'll start with your primary impressions, send the case to the lab, sit with your lab technician, and start asking him, what would you like to change in the case? So we took the impressions for the patient, ordered a wax up, نعرف بالضبط من البيشنت what is she looking for, what does she want to change. She wants the incisors to be longer, she wants them to be more protruded, more prominent. So basically we take all these info to our lab technician and start building up the case. So this is another wax up for the case. and this is another wax after case. Each case has its own requirement. So again, in a patient you might need to increase the incisal edge, another patient you might not need that, in another patient you need to fix alignment, in another patient you need like close spaces. So it depends on each and every case indication. This is the most important part that you need to keep in mind. You can let the patient talk and describe and start explaining and expressing to you what exactly is he looking for. Your part is to go in and tell the patient, yes, we can do that. No, we cannot do that. This is gonna be better for you. I recommend that you do this and that. This is gonna be a wrong decision if we followed it. So انت بينك وبين نفسك عارف ايش الاشياء اللي ممكن تتماشى فيها مع البيشنت وتحاول توصل له المعلومة انه احنا if we follow this requirement انت بتدور عليها, it's not going to be good for you. Like for example, a patient comes to your clinic asking to increase his incisal edge like 2 millimeter, and you check his protrusive movement and the movement or space does not allow you to increase that much. So here where you come as a general dentist, as a restorative dentist, as a prosthodontist, and tell and explain to the patient why exactly you cannot do that. But on the other hand, you can explain to him and offer him the alternative, right? Good. Now, once the case is received from the lab with the wax up, all what you need to do is to perform the putty index on the wax up. Why are we going to do that? Because it is the piece that it will be used intraorally to fabricate the patient temporary restoration. Again, another use of it, after duplication the wax up, you can perform your preparation guide. Now, what is the importance of the preparation guide? The preparation guide will allow you to control your preparation all along the treatment. So now, if you decided through the wax up that, for example, tooth number 1 you need to remove like a millimeter, half a millimeter from the tooth, how would you know that after the preparation? Again, it's by the preparation guide. So it's either going to be a putty index, it's going to be a suck down. All what you need to do and make sure of that you have a guide that controls your preparation. Again, this is a putty index in order to fabricate the temporary restoration, or to use it as a guide in order to control your patient. Control your preparation. Now, once you have that guide ready, you can go ahead, cut the edges around the gingival margin. It's gonna be easier for you and it's gonna facilitate the escapage of the temporary material once it's placed into the patient mouth. So now we can try it in the patient mouth using the mock-up. So basically we made the putty index over the wax up, and as we said, we cut the edges around the gingival margin again to make it easier to remove the excess, and then we load it with ProTemp as if we're making a temporary restoration, except it's done before the preparation itself. So it's done as a final aesthetic approval for the patient and also for us as clinicians. In addition to do this, it tells us how much preparation we need, especially when we want to lengthen the teeth or bring them, for example, facially. Now, teeth that are lingually tipped, you might end up with 0.2, 0.3 preparation, and that's all what you need in your final restoration. You don't need to increase more than that. Now, it's inserted into the patient mouth. Remove your putty index, and then now you have your mock-up. So what you need to do now is you sit the patient, give him or her a facial mirror, and get a final approval of the aesthetic outcome. So what kind of approval you need to take? The kind of approval you want to look for is the length, shape, facial prominence, phonetics, and all of that. So you sit with the patient, check the length, shape, again, the prominence, and the phonetics of the patient. It's really, really important. Now, the patient here liked the fullness of the teeth, but let's say we felt like the centrals or laterals need to be shorter or to bring them back. then just go ahead, make them shorter. وهي جالسة في العيادة على الموك اب هذا, make them shorter, then start your preparation. We also need to mention that to the patient that the final restoration will be a little bit different in terms of material, shade, and definitely the texture, since we're going to be using ceramics by the end of the day. But yeah, definitely the technician will use this as a guide for your final preparation. Final restorations. So this is the mock-up. Patient is happy, she's satisfied, you did all the adjustment that needed to be done, and go ahead and start. Now, what if you want to freehand the preparation? Usually what we do is we start our preparation on the mock-up. I'm sorry if I didn't say that info, but the mock-up is going to be left there and we'll start our preparation على الموك-up نفسه. But what if you want to start freehand? No mock-up, no nothing. Well, to start a freehand preparation without a mock-up, a few studies actually found that in case of freehand preparation, the proximal and cervical enamel was reduced more than 0.5 millimeter in the vast majority of cases with exposure of dentin in most teeth. Now, what is this gonna leave us with? Exposed dentin, so we're gonna have a problem with our bonding later on. So why? Because we need our preparation to be on enamel to increase the bonding strength. So yeah, as we said in the beginning, always keep your preparation guided. So when it comes to that kit, usually those are the burrs we need for veneer preparation. Plus or minus, it depends. What do you like? What is your special preference? What makes you feel more comfortable? Just go ahead and choose it and start the preparation. So starting from the top right burr, we have the 0.3 millimeter. Very conservative preparation for the gingival third only, 0.5. Next burr, 0.5 millimeter, most commonly used for middle and incisal third when teeth need a slight change and a color or contour. Now, there's also 0.7 and 1 millimeter dip cutting burrs, which can be used with severely discolored teeth where we need more room for preparation. Now, the wheel diamond burr for incisor reduction, then the round and red and green diamond burrs for facial reduction. Now, as we mentioned, bonding to dentin is less predictable due to dentin flexibility. Bonding to enamel is ideal when 50 to 70% or more of enamel remains. Now, as we mentioned again, some studies found that 52% of veneers preparation were exposing dentin at level of the gingival margin. This is not going to be good because you will lose a lot of that bonding strength if you expose that dentin. Now again, that's going to be a clip summarizing all what we mentioned. Guys, always please follow your alignment of the tooth, the planes of the tooth. If we're preparing the central incisor, make sure to follow the plane. Just keep in mind the angulation of the burr itself. Just follow the contour of the tooth itself. So we're going to place obtrugate. It's going to be helpful to retract your cheeks, small, regular. Comes in different sizes. It flexes and retracts the lips and cheeks. And we start a preparation over the mock-up again. The mock-up is there. We started our preparation following the planes of the tooth. We drew our lines, started connecting our lines with the facial preparation. We did our incisal depth cutting, grooves. Again, incisor reduction using diamond wheel reduction about 1.5 to 2 millimeter to make a butt joint preparation. Now this is, yes, one type of veneer preparation. After depth cutting, the 0.5, then you can make it, just to make it clear, till the marks completely disappeared. Once the marks are disappeared, that will indicate that you reached the depth you're looking for. So now you need to stop your facial preparation. So again, use whatever burr that makes you comfortable. Use the burr that makes you achieve what you're looking for. So again, round ended diamond, flat end. Again, use what makes you feel comfortable. This is the preparation guide. Always go back to it and check that your preparation is following that guide, just for you not to prepare even more. Now, when it comes to the contacts, now we have to make a decision whether to open the contact or not. Well, what we have is several reasons and indications for us to open or not to open the contact. So we always need to break the contact or to stop before the contact. That's the question. So halfway through the contacts, if good color and contour is available, what if not? Just to make sure the impression material will flow in between the teeth. And also the technician, once the case is poured, the technician has to be able to section the dies, the one we have, and open the contact. Now, if I'm gonna open the contact from what we just said, that's gonna leave me with a tooth or a case that I want to dramatically change the shade of it, or a proximal caries, or my malaligned teeth that I'm gonna have to correct the alignment. Okay, so basically those are some of the reasons why I'm gonna have to open the contact in my case. Again, we'll finish up by chamfer finish line. Whenever we're changing the color, closing the diastema, we're having to push the finish line subgingivally. Sometimes we need to drop the margin around 0.5 after the placement of the first cord to avoid traumatizing the soft tissue. Yes, first cord, because we're gonna have double cord in this veneers cases. The first cord, if you can see here, is always placed. What I like is for the first cord is to be placed separately. Second cord, I like it to be continuous, just gonna be easier for you to remove it. Now also, to prevent the areas of stress concentration, we need to make sure that all prepared surfaces are rounded, then polish the preparation with the white stone or soft licked discs. Again, the retraction cord you see over here is the second retraction cord, and as I mentioned, to me it makes me happy to keep it continuous. It's going to be easier for me to remove it later on. So again, please don't forget to take your natural dye shade. This is going to be really important for your lab technician. You will let him know that this is the shade I found, since we're talking about veneers restoration, which is very thin. Now, this shade is gonna affect your final outcome, so it will help you and your dental technician to be able to choose the ingot of the final restoration you have. So as you all know, some of them, or examples, you have the medium opacity, high opacity, low translucency, and so on. So this is going to be helpful for you and promising the patient with the aesthetic results she's looking for. Now, to summarize what we just mentioned, here's a short clip explaining the mock-up preparation, the guided preparation, checking, and final impression making. Right, now once we're done We're so happy we took the final impression now, but the part where most of us enjoy is the temporary restoration. Okay, let me fix this. I hope it's clear over there. All right, let's move. All right. Now, when it comes to the temporary restoration, we do a spot etch on the preparation and we bond it with flowable composite. We do it for a very small area on the middle of the preparation only. Of course, to be able to ground back to its structure. So what we need to do is only do spot etching, spot bonding after fabricating the provisional restoration, removing the provisional restoration, adjusting and opening embrasures and so on, then put it back and reline it with flowable composite. That's all what you need to do. Now, let me get this picture done. Okay. Now, there's a huge variety of, sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. Now we have a huge variety of finishing and polishing discs and wheels, but flexible diamond discs are definitely needed to open the incisal and gingival third. So these are discs, as well as occlu brushes. Also is efficient. It gives highly glossed and polished, since polishing particles is already included in the brush itself, embedded inside, so you don't need to use a paste with it. Also the buffing wheels, but this one, yeah, the one over here, that one especially you're going to be needing to use a fine pumice with it. And lastly, you have your soft licks. It's going to be helpful in recontouring, finishing, and polishing as well. Now, what you're gonna need to use during cementation of the case is you're gonna need to, again, just reline it with flowable composite. If you used resin, it's gonna be difficult for you to remove. If you're gonna use Tim Bond, it's not gonna last. Yep, it will fall down, patient will call you and start complaining that her restoration has fallen. Now we can use the locked technique. Locked يعني بالعربي, you're just gonna keep it there. You'll place your putty, remove it and keep it locked, but all what you need to do is just cut the excess with the bare, leave it stuck in the proximal areas and a little bit on the palatal surface. Now, of course, if you're gonna do that technique, which I really don't recommend it most of the times, all what you need to do is to polish it, make sure it's not interfering with the patient occlusion, especially when we use it in the upper arch, and double check your excursive movement as well. Now, flatten the papilla, polishing burrs with diamond or flame declusion. Now, go back to your palatal aspect, make sure that it's nice and clean, no excess, not impinging on any soft tissue, and of course, not interfering with any of the occlusion. Now, you can go back and start staining your kit. This is a very nice helpful kit from Ivoclar. Not all patients will arrive to your clinic seeking to restore all 6 interiors or 8 teeth. Some of them might be there to just have like 1 or 2 teeth. Now you're gonna have to match it with the other natural teeth they have. Patient has her temporary restoration and she's happy now. Now we'll move on into cementation. Now, the most important fact over here, guys, is regardless of the effort you put during preparation, temporization, and final impression, failure occur like in big chances if you didn't pay attention to the cementation steps and you didn't give it much attention during performing that step exactly. So انت تعبت. You did a very good planning to the case. The wax up was amazing, served all your indications. The temporary couldn't be any better. Your final impression shows your margin. It's good. You're happy about it. It's clear. The lab was so happy. Didn't give you a hard time. Your restorations are fabricated. Now it's the most important part, where you want to cement those nice pieces into the patient mouth and give them the transformation he or she looking for. Now we have different kits for light cure cementation, final cementation. This is from Veralink, aesthetic light cure from Ivoclar. Most of us will use like two different companies like Veralink and Care. Those are the at least this is what I know that some of my friends and I actually use. So the Veralink Aesthetic Light Cure Resin Cement Kit from Ivoclar, which has different shades. It comes in natural, warm, light with their corresponding try and paste. But let me tell you something here, guys. Please don't depend a lot on the cement color to change the final result. If you're not happy with the final result, just go back and change it. Don't rely on the cement. Don't rely on cement and say that, okay, the shade is slightly off. Maybe if I go with the warm cement, maybe if I try to choose the light plus cement, this might affect. No. It's not gonna happen because the cement plays a very minimal role in your shade. It's around 10%. So if you're not happy with the shade, just you need to go back and change it. You promised the patient that you're gonna make over his mouth. So just you need to keep up with that promise. So again, it's not going to change in the normal circumstances. The cement is probably least responsible for the final result, as we said. So again, this is the cementation kit itself. As we said, it comes in neutral, light plus, and warm. Depends on your indication. You'll choose which one you'll go for. This is the Nexus third generation from Care. It's good. It's nice. I worked with it before. So again, it depends what does make you comfortable. You used Care, you're happy with it, then fine. You can start and go ahead and use it. You used the kit from Ivoclar. Again, we don't want to spend here much time because it goes back to your special preference. Again, it comes in different shades, but they call it clear, white, opaque, and so on. So it differs from a company to another. Now, the case has arrived. First thing to do is you need to check it on the cast itself. Make sure that all margins are fine, the proximal contacts, you're happy with it, and later on you start to place it and try and enter the patient mouth. All what you need to do is check the margin, fitting surface. If you have any problem in your fitting surface, just use the fit checker and remove a little bit from the tooth itself, not the veneer. Adjust your proximal contact, occlusal contact with porcelain polishers. Some final occlusal adjustment can be done after cementation, but these are the things you need to keep in mind and check before you go ahead and start your cementation. Put it with the try and paste we just showed over here. You get to choose at that time which paste you want to use from the different shades. Again, we mentioned. If you're confused, which shade shall I go for? Is it going to be the neutral? Is it going to be light? Is it going to be light or light plus? Okay, simply go back to your try and paste and choose the light for your first central incisor, like tooth number 1-1. Then use the light plus for tooth number 2-1. Then you'll be able to make a decision and choose which one you're going to go for. After that, when you're done, just remove the obfuscate, give the patient the facial mirror, and let her or him approve the restoration in terms of color, shape, length, and all. So all what you need to do is ask the patient, are you happy with the results? If the patient said yes, then you can go back and go ahead, and start your cementation sequence. If the patient said this or that, then you have to start listening to the patient and adjust what needs to be adjusted. Now, this is a picture of the porcelain polishing burrs, blue, pink, gray. These are the orders. So blue is very rough. You need to be careful while using the blue one, because it would remove a lot of your ceramics. You're going to be cautious with this. You have to use it under water. Pink is a little bit aggressive, and the gray one is for polishing. So regardless you started using the blue one or the red one, what you need to do is finish up and wrap it with the polisher, which is the gray one. All right, now this is what you need around you to start your cementation. If these are not ready, don't even think about starting your cementation. Cementation is a very critical procedure that actually does not leave you with any room for error. So we have our hydrofluoric acid, we have our silane, of course we have our restoration, we have our phosphoric acid, we have our bonding agent, and finally we have our prison cement. So as we said, we started by the tri-in paste. Now all what you need to do is go ahead and wash the tri-in paste. Make sure that your fitting surface is nice and clean. After that, you can go ahead and start with 9.5% hydrofluoric acid for 20 seconds. Now, make sure that the hydrofluoric you have is 9.5, so that's when you can start with the 20%. Other companies provide this type of material with different concentrations, so it's very important for you guys is to go back and check the manufacturer instruction and follow them. So again, this etching time, again, it's specific for this concentration and this company. So as we said, you need to go back and check the manufacturer instructions. Now, once you apply this material, the fitting surface should look dull, it has to be frosty, but it cannot be polished, it cannot be glossy, it has to be like this frost, like a chalky look. You don't want to get it too chalky, no, this is not going to be good for your veneer, but it cannot be that glossy. So if it was like chalky, شفت النقط البيضة هذه, it means you created a solid debris that it has to be removed. And what you can use here is you can use phosphoric acid for 60 seconds to remove that that layer. Another reason why you should have the 37% of the phosphoric acid, it's, let's say that you're done with the tri-in, you checked your contacts and you went ahead and started and applied the hydrofluoric acid, but for some reason you had to stop and check the fitting again. Now what happened? Now your fitting surface is contaminated, it's not going to be ready to be cemented. So no, you don't go back and apply hydrofluoric acid. All what you need to do is again, you apply 37 phosphoric acid for 60 seconds. The silane again for 60 seconds, and then you apply your light cured resin cement. So these are the steps. As we said, And rule number 1, light cure resin cement for veneers, because they're higher in color stability than dual cure. Don't use the self-etch adhesive. Rule number 2, which I always recommend and should be rule number 1, please guys, read the instructions. Now, the veneers were tried and surface were etched and adhesive was again applied. They were bonded 2 by 2. Now, a lot of people would ask which way should we start and which method or which technique we should follow, which sequence we should follow during the cementation. Guys, use this technique that makes you comfortable. As long as you have proper isolation, then you can choose. But one recommendation, please try to cement, and it's very important to cement both incisors together, both central incisors together, because they're dominant. They're together. They will facilitate and make your rest of cementation either easier or a nightmare. So yeah, the only thing I would recommend is have a proper isolation, and again start with the 2 central incisors together, then follow the rest. You want to go ahead and do the canines, after that then go back to the laterals, it's fine. You want to go follow up and start laterals, then canines, then premolars. Again, there is no right and wrong in this, as long as you follow the proper procedure and sequence. Now, you can use the scaler to and floss to check your contacts. Make sure to remove any excess cement. Some people prefer blade number 12 to clean the excess after completing curing. Use any method you'd like. The most important thing, you cannot leave the patient with any excess cement. You can use the interproximal saw, and it works like magic. It saved lives before, I'm sure that. And make sure that you ask the patient to follow up with 1 week after that. All right. Now I'm gonna leave you with the before and after. Actually, it's وقت الصلاة. It had music, so I'm just gonna mute this. This is the first case. And this is the end result of case 1. Lateral view of the case. Again, the malalignment, the shade, spaces between teeth were all adjusted. And this is case number 2. The patient had tooth surface loss, heavily restored tooth number 1, 2. Again, spaces between the canine and the laterals. This is the final outcome of case 2. Case number 3 with the existing old veneers and restorations, off shade, malalignment, open margin. This is again the final outcome of the patient. And this is a closer look, the same case as well. And the final case. Again, this is a lateral view of the final case. And thank you so much, guys. Thank you for giving me the time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. اليوم من هذه المحاضرات اللي موجودة و available is huge. You guys chose to be here, so I'm grateful. I'm thankful. يعطيكم ألف عافية. السلام عليكم. كان في بعض الأسئلة اللي جاتنا، خلينا نبدأ نجاوب عليها. وأم سوري إذا ما قدرت أشوف أي من الأسئلة اللي كانت موجودة هنا، لأنه الجوال كان على landscape mode. Feel free to type again your questions, guys. طيب. One of the questions can the importance of the glycerine gel. Okay. Okay, the gel is basically used to protect your etched surface. Now, usually some of the labs, not most of them, some of the labs would send you the final ceramics restoration or already etched. So what you need to do is you need to go back to your lab technician and ask them whether you etched the fitting surface or not. So again, yes, that's the benefit, is just to protect again your etched pattern of the fitting surface of the lab fabricated prosthesis. Now, another question, what is the importance of the silane? Okay, the importance again of the silane is to promote the adherence of the two dissimilar materials. So what we have in our restoration, you have the natural tooth itself, and you have the resin, then you have the ceramic restoration. So you need to make sure that all of these are bonded together. Okay, third question, do we need to use a rubber dam? Rubber dam takes a lot of time. No, isolation is the most important part. If you don't have this isolation, you might end up by a treatment failure. Patient is not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. Trust me, you'll be spending a lot of time in other things that you'd rather be doing another thing. So yeah, isolation is really important. Follow the technique you want, Teflon tape by covering the adjacent teeth, or rubber dam. It depends what works best for you. Now, okay, best material for cement. Again, we just demonstrated two companies throughout the presentation. One of them was كانت من Ivoclar, the other one from Care. Again, use what makes you happy. Use what is much easier for you to bring the best out of it. So this is the best material for me. Do we need to cement them all together or individually? Please cement the two central incisors together. Then whatever makes you happy, go and do it. But two central incisors, please, yeah, just start together, because everything else will be depending on those two central incisors. So yeah. When do we refer to ortho? That's a very good question. Now, you need to measure the spaces you have. So if we say an ortho case, probably it's going to be something related to spaces or malalignment. So crowding, yeah. So basically you need to study your case thoroughly. So once you have your primary impressions done, you need to go to the lab, start examining the case, and make sure that you can perform the correction the patient is looking for with the least tooth reduction. So let's say if you have a space like 4 millimeter, 5 millimeter, it's not going to be logical for you and go ahead and place veneers on that, let's say anterior teeth, and close that diastema or distance. It's not going to be logical. So again, the patient at that time has to go to be under ortho treatment. Again, severely malaligned teeth or severely crowded teeth, again, you won't be able to adjust them. You will end up by removing a lot of tooth structure. Again, it's not going to be logical for you to prep and remove this amount of tooth structure. The other thing you should look for, if we're talking about diastema or spaces, is the radiograph. The radiograph, you need to check the angulation of the root itself, whether it's going to allow you or not to prepare and leave room for your technician to build his ceramic. Because in such cases, what you need to do is you place your margin more palatally in order to give room for your technician to build up a contour of a restoration that is free from any overhang. You know, you don't want to be left with an overhang restoration by the end. Okay. Again, case selection. Yes, again, case selection. We spoke about case selection, the indication, contraindication of the case. What is the new trends in PROS? PROS is always updated, like very fast. You need to be updated. Digital dentistry and digital prosthodontics is taking a huge part of this. So yeah, I would say digital. Saudi board or US? Saudi board or US? I would choose المكان اللي حيعلمني أحسن. المكان هذا لو حيعلمني في السعودية I'm gonna choose Saudi board. لو المكان اللي في أمريكا أو أستراليا أو أي مكان تاني في الدنيا حيعلمني حروح أختار المكان ده. The thing is I'm not gonna stand still في مكاني. No, I'm gonna pursue what I like, whether it was here or any place else. And no, if it goes back and I got an acceptance anywhere else, I would still choose Saudi board. Yes. Most common questions in interview. Okay. My account in Twitter is same as my username and Instagram. I tweeted some tweets about interviews. You can go back and find I attach a very good reference in that tweet. It's a book actually, you can read it, and it's a very interesting one. Last question is 3N veneers. Okay, 3N veneers, guys, it's veneers. It's lithium disilicate. 3N veneers. ريان عسلي veneers. فلان الفلاني veneers. It's 3N veneers. The only thing that they just put it in a brand, so they were smart enough to make a brand out of it وسموها 3N veneers. So أنت تروح اليوم للدكتور تقول له لو سمحت أنا أبغى 3N veneers بس لو سمحت يعني توصى فيها. It's lithium disilicate, guys. It's yeah, but again يعني that was smart of them. They did a brand. They have good marketing. The thing I liked about their booth in EDEC Dubai, the guy was playing with the violin was amazing, honestly. So yeah, again, I guess that's all. I hope إني كنت خفيف عليكم. Thank you Dentoscope for this opportunity. You guys are doing amazing. دكتور هيف, you're amazing. تعاملك جدا راقي. آخر شيء أقدر أقوله الله يوفقكم جميعا ووفقنا جميع ويا رب يزيح وينهي الغمة اللي علينا هذه ويحفظ أحبابكم ويحفظ من يشوفنا ويسمعنا وجميع المسلمين إن شاء الله والجميع إن شاء الله يا رب ويزيلهم الغمة. شكرا لكم والله يعطيكم العافية وبالتوفيق والسلام عليكم.